Great tracks there by Joanna Rose. So the first track we heard there was Love Affair, and the second track after that was 80s Life. She's so talented, isn't she? Incredible artist.
Yeah, she has wonderful voice, I have to say. I mean, like, I'm really happy that we met and that we released music together. Yeah, really happy about that. Yeah. And who knows, we might work with her in the future.
Yeah, I hope so.
It's not planned for the short term, but we never know in the future what might happen.
Yeah, because I remember when I was on Instagram and I must have shared the 7-inch, and obviously I was proud to share it because I was saying to people that this is an amazing track. You need to get this vinyl definitely before it sells out. And I think pretty much a few days later it was completely sold out. But Joanna Rose, she actually reached out to me on the post and liked it and commented, and she was like, thank you so much for supporting. And she definitely came across as a nice person. And I said to her, I hope you get to have a full-length project in the future, because I think everyone would definitely be interested to hear that.
I think what really helped also with this release, apart from the quality of the music, was the artwork. For the artwork, we asked an artist who lives in Germany. She's called Mizukat. She's quite well known in the synthwave, retrowave, 80s manga community. For her artworks. She's doing a lot of stuff for different artists in the synthwave scene and so on. And we really wanted to have that 80s Japanese manga touch for the record cover. So I think this really helped also to make this record a success. I'm really proud of. I really like this artwork. Some people might find that cheesy or anything, but we are really proud of that, to be honest. Yeah. And we had a really good feedback on the artwork as well.
Yeah, the artwork is beautiful, and it's definitely a great artwork to go alongside with the music. That fits perfectly, in my opinion. For my listeners out there who haven't seen this artwork, you should definitely check it out. If you give it a good search and look it up, you'll see that it's nice, colourful illustration with an anime manga style, with a nice nod and throwback to the 80s as well. Perfect. So I know one of your other key projects that you did on Avant Garde Records is working with Bobby Nunn. And for my listeners who don't know who Bobby Nunn is, Bobby Nunn was an artist on Motown Records. He was a singer and producer and worked with big artists on Motown as well, like Rick James. He worked on various projects. And I'm really intrigued about this really, because when I realized that you worked with Bobby Nunn, I was like, wow, how did you get that opportunity there? And especially with the music you've released with him, it is a nice unreleased gem from his vault.
Yeah, well, Bobby Nunn, it's probably one of the reasons I started to listen to funk music. Like, he was definitely one of my major influences. He was one of the first artists I discovered at the time when I was starting to get into that kind of music, and I really had like a big love for his music. So yeah, at first I discovered, like most people, 2 albums, Second to None and then Private Party. I was crazy about tracks like Don't Knock It Till You Try It. This track is like probably my favorite boogie track ever. Private Party, You Look That Good in the Morning, Sexy Sassy, well, tracks like this. And I remember at the time, I was making some research over the internet back in 2007, 2008, and I found that he released an album in 1984 that was never released, that only came out as a promo, because after this, the album was called Fresh. Yeah, that's the name, Fresh.
Okay.
And this album never came out. Only a few promo copies were available on the market, which makes it a very rare record that I've never managed to find. Because Bobby got kicked off the Motown label right after the release of this album. So this album actually never been released. He got kicked off before the official release, which is a bit weird because they invested on him for an album, but never didn't even dare releasing this album. But anyway, And I found some information about that, so I became obsessed with tracking this album. And I remember I met a guy at the time, a French guy, on the forum, on the French blog, a French forum, that pretended to own a copy of that, and he told me, yeah, there's a few good tracks. Blah blah. I found my copy in New York. I don't think that he was lying, but I never managed to even listen to these tracks. So I started to dig over the internet. I tried to get in touch with Bobby Nunn. So I don't know how I did that, but I managed to get in touch with his brother called Billy Nunn, who lived, I don't know if he's still living, but at the time he was living in. And I told him, like, I'm really big fan of Bobby Nunn. I really need to get in touch with him. Do you have his email or his details, phone number, anything?
Yeah.
So he gave me his email, and from that point, that was in 2008, I started to be in touch with Bobby Nunn. We exchanged, we sent each other emails, and it's only in 2015 when I went to Los Angeles that we met in person, and
Nice.
we conducted an interview at the time. I didn't have my camera at the time, but that's an audio interview that you can find on our SoundCloud page, where I asked him a lot of questions. And a few months after that, he told me that he only have a copy, one vinyl copy, one record, one copy of the Fresh record. But he told me I have the master track of some of these songs, and from that it came to us the idea of releasing that. So basically, we released, the main track was Cherry Pie, who was one of the hit single of this album called Fresh.
Oh.
And the B-side was a track that I Got My Eyes on You, that was never released on, and we released that as a B-side with both the original and the remix by Nicky B, which is, by the way, my favorite remix.
Wow.
I think it gave a new dimension to this track. So that's how it happened with Bobby Nunn. I was so amazed to get a chance to meet him back in 2015.
Yeah, that's an incredible
He
story
was
right
a
there.
really chill out dude, like really nice guy.
That sounds incredible. I can't believe that, just by the power of just with a little bit of internet help there, you're able to track down his brother, and then obviously
That's the magic of internet,
and then speaking to his brother, and then start communicating with Bobby Nunn over time, and then having a great opportunity to then go over to LA and then sit down with him. And it must have been mind blowing actually when he's obviously pulling out the master tapes of this unreleased record.
Exactly, yeah. And I really invite you and the people who are listening to your show to check out that interview that we have on SoundCloud, where he's sharing some very interesting memories. Like I can give you a few examples. Like he was telling me that one day he was in the studio and he heard someone that sounded exactly like Michael Jackson. He said, "Is it Michael Jackson in the studio?" And someone said, "No, that's Alfonso. That guy who really sounds like Michael Jackson, that released an album in 1982, I think. Even the pose that he has on the cover is really similar to Michael Jackson Thriller."
Yeah, I know. Or he's lying
and I
down.
think that album actually was released before Thriller. So,
so Michael Jackson actually copied his album cover.
Yeah, I will bet. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that this album was released before, because Thriller by Michael Jackson was released in December 1982, and this album by Alfonso was released earlier.
Wow.
But anyway, he shared a few things like that. He was also really close to Philip Bailey. Yeah, he was actually in the studio when Earth, Wind & Fire recorded their hit single, it's not September, Let's Groove Tonight. And they remember the member of the band, they were like, they knew that they had a hit at the time when they recorded that, and they bring out the champagne in the studio. So, he shared with me a few examples like this, a few stories that I was listening for any people who like Bobby Nunn and his music.
That is amazing. Just to think that, like, in a studio next door, history is in the making, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Great stuff. Yeah, that Bobby Nunn 12-inch you brought out, it's another great solid release. I have to say, with Avant Garde Records, is your releases, it's no filler. You got pure straight heat releases, and that Bobby Nunn record is another great addition to the catalogue of Avant Garde Records. And if people haven't checked it out, I suggest you do. Definitely get onto that and don't miss out on that. So what we're going to do, actually, I think we're going to dive into one of the tracks off that 12-inch. What would you like to hear?
It really doesn't matter to me. I like both sides, but yeah, let's go with Cherry Pie.